USL Championship action coming to you from Loudoun County, Virginia. Welcome to Segra Field in Leesburg. Tonight's match is presented by Equality Loudoun. Tonight is Loudoun United's Pride Night, and we are so glad to welcome you along for the ride. With Gary Bailey, Mike Watts on hand, we've got Loudoun United meeting Pittsburgh Riverhounds. These teams did meet about a month ago, a fixture. June the 2nd, opening goal for Pittsburgh came in the 18th minute, Velarde.
Oh, it's a lovely strike with the left foot, and this was a match in which Loudoun did really well. Didn't get the result they might have wanted, but they got a fantastic start.
And it was an Akwe own goal off the deflection from Dixon.
Yep, not much you can do there when that ball is flicked up. Dixon having a big part to play in this match.
To begin the second half, Loudoun, however, got back into this game. That's Bolivar first.
Yeah, good finish. Nice and quick. Jumps on this, sticks it in the back of the net.
And all the while, Dixon goes down, wins a penalty in the 58th minute. Cicerone steps up. It's back to 3-1 Pittsburgh.
Yeah, good finish from Cicerone. Once again, Alex Dixon making it all happen. And then this one here, just before the end, it's a great strike from Logan Pancho just to bring them back into the game, but they just couldn't get the points against Pittsburgh.
So Pittsburgh wins that one 3-2. It's their first of 4 wins this calendar month. Russell Cicerone has continued that scintillating form. That penalty starting quite the run.
Yeah, the 3 goals, but the assists as well. He's a good player out wide, whips the ball in, got the, and besides whipping it in, he got the header down for the assist for Decoy in the last match. So whether it's with his feet, with his head, he's such a useful player, and he is the star of the season so far for Pittsburgh.
Meanwhile, for Loudoun, let's be honest, they have so many strikers on the field, it's easy to say Giovanni Bolivar is a player to watch. It feels like they all are.
Yeah, you could pick one from any, but here's the top goal scorer. 3 goals and 1 assist. Only striker above 1 goal for Loudoun, but he does have those alongside him, Mustafa, Paz, and Smith, who could help him get opportunities tonight.
All right, well, Pittsburgh is sitting second in the Atlantic Division, 4 points off Tampa Bay. Loudoun in the basement, but a win today could begin a bit of a turnaround for a side that's been on the wrong side of 6 one-goal losses. Lineups kickoff when we return.
At Loudoun United, we're proud of diverse support, and we proudly celebrate all of those who support us, no matter their race, gender, sexual orientation, religious beliefs, or more. Everyone deserves to live in a world where they feel comfortable and safe in their own skin. We are at our best when we are welcoming, and we are at our strongest when we are together. We stand loud and united in our continued desire and pursuit for equality and equity for all.
This is business today. Fast, unpredictable, always changing. Shifting trends and technologies are pushing aside old rules. The unexpected is the new normal. At Segra, we'll help you navigate a complex future with state-of-the-art voice, internet, and data protection solutions. We know you have dreams, and we see your potential. Segra, freedom to grow.
If you were injured tomorrow, the ER may not be your best option. At Ortho Virginia, we can treat urgent orthopedic injuries without an appointment and diagnose non-urgent injuries virtually through video visits. Take the first step toward recovery, because stronger starts here.
Welcome back, everybody. Tonight is Loudoun United's Pride Night. We're proud of our diverse support, and we proudly celebrate all of those who support us, no matter their race, gender, sexual orientation, religious beliefs, or more. Everyone deserves to live in a world where they feel comfortable and safe in their own skin. We're at our best when we're welcoming. We're at our strongest together. We stand loud and united in our continued desire and pursuit for equality and equity for all. So glad you're with us. Loudoun Economic Development brings you tonight's starting 11 for Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Bob Lilly making many changes.
Yeah, 5 in total. Lots of rotation going on. In goals, Jake Leaker is in. Vitioli is out for a bit of a rest. And then Kilwine is back. Jalen Robinson's back. Louis Perez gets a run out. Tommy Williamson's going to lead the line on the bench. You've got the likes of Dikwa, Alex Dixon, and 1 or 2 others who can be brought on, including Conrado Forbes.
And Cicerone leading that line, as we mentioned pregame. Ryan Martin sending out this starting 11. It's brought to you by Loudoun Economic Development. Forda, the mainstay in goal. Green and Bolivar come back in.
Yeah, Nicky Downs goes out, as does Robbie Damrot in that left side of defense. So we think it'll be Green who'll take his place. Samarke wide. Those two could swap. We will see. And up front, you know, they've got 4 really. Mustafa's an attacker. Paz, Smith, Bolivar. How they'll mix it, how they'll play, we're not 100% sure. What we do know, as you said, is Loudoun United do have a really good attack here. So could be a fantastic and exciting match for us this evening.
Well, let's take a look at the field here, because the news is not promising. So the players came out onto the field. You can see the goalkeeper carrying a water bottle and a towel. You know exactly what that means, Gary.
Dear, they're all heading for the sideline, and we saw a little view of the clouds in the sky, so we can only assume it's a lightning delay, and that's so tough. It's been common the last few weeks. Not the first time this has happened, but safety of the players and the crowd is paramount.
So we saw the wind truly beginning to whip around, and the expectation was that this game was going to start on time, even going into the last 5-10 minutes. Players took the field, and apparently there has been lightning close enough to the stadium that it has triggered at least a 30-minute delay before players can return to the field. So make sure you follow Pittsburgh and Loudoun's social media channels. Gary and I are going to tell some lies to one another and try and enjoy this delay. We hope you do as well. And we'll come on right back once we have a bit more clarity on a start time and getting this thing underway, while the fans will largely have to make their way to the parking lot, even if they do have a sandwich in hand. So we've got Loudoun and Pittsburgh coming up soon, but not just yet due to a weather delay. Back with more when it becomes available. Welcome back, everybody, to Segra Field in Leesburg, Virginia. We have waited long enough. It is an hour and 45-minute delay due to lightning in the area, and now it appears we are ready to go between the Pittsburgh Riverhounds and Loudoun United. With Gary Bailey, Mike Watts on hand. Tonight's game is presented by Equality Loudoun. Let's reintroduce the starting lineups. They're brought to you by Loudoun Economic Development. 6 changes in total, 5 in the field, 1 in goal.
Yep, Jake Leaker comes in for Vitiello in goals. That gives him a chance. The 2 matches will be his 3rd of the season. Also coming in, Preston Kilwine, Jalen Robinson, Louis Perez, Tommy Williamson, a whole bunch of players going out, some of which are on the bench. Dequa, Alex Dixon, also out Jelani Peters, Mikhail Williams. I already mentioned the goalkeeper as well. And yeah, Forbes on the bench as well. So if they need to change things around, Pittsburgh, they certainly have lots of ammunition available.
They certainly do. Here's the starting lineup for Ryan Martin. And you'd have to say for Loudoun United, it's been a very difficult time, but this is maybe an ideal 11.
It certainly is. Just the 2 changes. Bolivar in, Nicky Downs goes out. Jacob Green comes in for Robbie Damrod at the back there. But yeah, you're right. You've got a Mustafa, number 11 there. Then up front, Bolivar, Paz, and Smith. Those are 4 strikers who can cause problems up against, perhaps, if you're honest, it's maybe a slightly weakened Pittsburgh side due to rotation. Now's as good a time as any for Loudoun United to get themselves a much-needed win.
Loudoun 1 win in 8 games this year, and their only loss by multiple goals came last time out away to Charleston, where Stavros Zarakostas scored the 10,000th goal in USL Championship history. Now we'll see how, after an hour and 45-minute delay, this one plays out. Pittsburgh Loudoun finally underway from Segra Field in Virginia. Mike Watts, Gary Bailey. We know that the RGV El Paso match tonight also dealt with a similar inclement weather delay.
Yeah, it's a test for the players. It's a test for the management, the coaches. Can you keep the players up, get their energy level high? The players themselves, can you remain focused? You've got a surface that's now very wet and slippery. And so, yeah, it does create a different set of challenges for both players. It's the team that settles quickest that can take advantage of this.
Rolls over toward Green. And it's Michael DeShields. 1st-round draft pick, 5th overall by DC United. Starting for a 4th time this year. I think it's 7th time, beg your pardon. Green.
Interesting, Jacob Green playing in a right wing back, even though he's a lefty, so a bit of a switch there for Loudoun.
Trouble brewing perhaps here for Pittsburgh. They're able to send this away. You and I looked at the lineup for Loudoun and we're going, okay, well, there's 4 theoretical potential number 9s, and how do you piece this together? If you're Ryan Martin, I think it's an element of get the best talent you can on the field at any given moment.
Yeah, and get them attacking and having a go at the Pittsburgh defense. You've got Bolivar, what a good player he is with 3 goals already. Kamani Smith, who's new to the team. This is only his 4th match. Mustafa's got pace from midfield, and Darluis Paz as well. So, yeah, 4 very good attacking players. I think it looks like Paz is going to be the one up front with the others just behind him. But no doubt they'll rotate and give each other a little chance in attack. But, yeah, if they can defend well, Loudoun, I've no doubt that their attackers can get themselves a goal tonight.
Danny Rivera to throw for the Riverhounds. Time at Dean College and then went to the University of Vermont, native of Bogota in Colombia. Velarde, bit of a hospital ball. That's enough to get it up for Perez. Perez curling with the deflection, and they'll send Samake into the corner.
And we've discussed Loudoun and how good they might be, but let's be fair to Pittsburgh. 3 wins and a draw in their last 4. This is a team on form. Yes, there's a lot of changes here in this particular match, lots of rotation, but it's still a very good setup. And of course, Bob Lilly, top-class manager. So I'm not for 1 second suggesting this is easy for Loudoun. I'm just saying they have the firepower if they can use it, but you underestimate Pittsburgh at your peril.
Spoke to Bob Lilly last week ahead of the game against New York Red Bulls as Pittsburgh into the final third here with a bit of pace. Velarde sends this wide for Perez. He said it was probably the draw against Miami that really got this team back into form. Slid across Perez, lifted over by that first-round pick, Michael DeShields. It's a case of having a better defensive mentality coming out of that Miami game. Felt like the aggression was there offensively that had been lacking, and clearly it's carried over to the 3 wins and to start tonight.
Yeah, it has. It was a very, very slow start for Pittsburgh, and you know they lost a lot of players in the offseason, and you started to worry for them, but they really have got it together. Cicerone, just different class up front. A lot to do with Conrado Forbes, who's rested tonight, but he has been in superb form.
Cicerone drives the corner. And he'll do it again. Chance to tell you that this corner kick is brought to you by Loudoun Economic Development, a team that's always in your corner. Cicerone, 5 goals, tied a career high. And there was a shove there. Free kick here. Tonight's injury report is brought to you by Ortho Virginia, the official sports medicine partner of Loudoun United FC. For Pittsburgh, there was a late addition to their injury report this week, and it's a player who will not feature. Jordan Dover not in the 18. Loudoun is injury-free at the moment. Mentioned earlier, Jelani Peters out. He's on international duty with Trinidad and Tobago. He's never capped for them, but has been called in for World Cup qualifiers. He could feature in the Gold Cup, which begins with the preliminary stage on Friday.
Always good to have players in your squad who are international players, because you know that they're playing at the very high levels and they can bring that back to your club. Offside for Puz, and always get frustrated with strikers when they get caught offside in situations where they don't need to. I get it if you're taking risks, but a long ball out of defense like that, you should be able to keep yourself onside. Mind you, Puz is only 19, so we can cut in some slack.
Paz is 19. Al-Mustafa is 20 years old. You mentioned Kamari Smith coming into the team. He's a more aged 23. Then Bolivar is 19
as well,
yep.
Yeah. Jacob Green, 18. Garay, 18. Kuda Pietro, 19. Wonderful to see. But we've spoken about this before. It's great to have a young side, develop them, but they still have to learn the art of winning. You cannot keep on losing like this if you're Loudoun, and I'm sure Ryan Martin is just trying to find a way to get all this talent to work together to get a positive result.
Last 24 games, 2 wins. Go with 16 losses, 3 draws. That's 21, I guess, if I'm doing my math right the second time around.
I'll believe you. You have a degree in financing, so you should be good with numbers.
Corner, Pittsburgh.
The one thing that Bob Lilly does bring to his team is he creates winning teams, and that's where Loudoun could learn from this Pittsburgh side.
Dancing into the penalty area. Curled effort is blocked. Taken on the first time by Rivera, and the header will bounce back to Jermaine Forda. 28-year-old Englishman seeing the lion's share of the time for Loudoun this year.
Yeah, very good goalkeeper. Made some great saves against Charleston Battery last weekend. You wouldn't think so when they got beat 3-0, but for him, it could have been 5 or 6. Made a double save in the one moment when Nick Daly scored. Nothing worse for a keeper. You save it once, you save it twice, it goes out, and somebody still scores. So Forda will be looking and hoping to get a clean sheet, a rare clean sheet for his side.
Loudoun this year, that one clean sheet was away to New Mexico. That's their only win on the season. Mentioned 7 losses, 6 by 1 goal, and they've played a bit of a murderer's row at this point. This will send Bolivar winding. Lines up Robinson, former DC United homegrown. A couple of guys with experience around Loudoun or DC United on this Pittsburgh roster, in truth. This is stabbed away from Williamson. Robinson spending better part of 6 years with DC United, came up through their academy before going off to Wake Forest, and Homegrown player going back to 2014, and then the addition in the back of Shane Wheat. Spent a couple months last year with Loudoun. That's offside.
Yeah. Williamson trying to be a threat, living on the shoulder there of the centre backs again. Same applies to him as did to Puz. Got to try and keep yourself on side. It's what makes leading the line so difficult. It's one thing if you're a deeper striker and you can run at the defense, but when you have to live on the sort of shoulder of the centre back, a lot of your thinking is just keeping on side, watching where the centre backs move so you can move with them.
Back from Garay, taken here by DeShields. And to leave early against Charleston, but able to start here tonight. Green.
We're 5 yards off. Tommy, you got to get to the ball side every time, Anthony. You got to get there.
You can hear Bob Liddy shouting about getting goal side, and they're so good at that, Pittsburgh. Look, yellow jerseys are back deep in their own half. They really don't mind you having some of that possession. In fact, I think only once this season the Riverhounds have had more than 50%. That was against Austin Bowl. Other than that, it's generally around about the 40% mark. They're very happy to sit deep, deny you space, and then try and counter-attack you.
That's Wharton into the challenge.
Oh, come on. Your team's going to be more dramatic here.
Wharton did play at the University of Virginia, grew up nearby in Glen Allen, Virginia.
Got the goal in the last match against New York Red Bulls. Lovely left foot strike from Wharton. Beautifully hit. Very, very skillful player.
It had been so long since he had shown his goal scoring acumen that I would assume some people probably forgot he had that in him. He certainly does. We saw that at RGV. All the way down to the end line, ball across, seeking perhaps Bolivar, but soared over him.
Just talking about possession, Loudoun very used to having a lot of possession. In the Charleston Battery match last weekend, 63% possession, but lost 3-0. So again, it just brings up question marks about how the lack of clinical finishing from this team in red.
Green gets thrust off the ball. Wonderful. Early here toward Mustafa, and it's clipped out by Perez. I'm not saying Pittsburgh is only a counter-attacking team, but they are very adept at it. You could argue that Charleston, Miami has that in them, Charlotte as well in the Atlantic.
It's a very popular way of playing. You stay deep, as Bob Lilly there keeping an eye on things. You stay deep, you deny the opposition space, and when you counter, you have a ton of space in which to work. So it does suit a number of teams.
Cross coup Di Pietro, and goodness, leaky corner.
Yeah, he's taking over from Vitiello, who's been playing really, really well, maybe except for the mistake against New York Red Bulls. But other than that, and you want to come in and look really solid, that's not a great first touch to have from Jake Leaker. But, you know, things can still improve from there.
This corner kick is brought to you by Loudoun Economic Development, a team that's always in your corner. And a short corner at that. Samake. Header back across by Paz.
Leaker was lucky there as well. He's come for a ball he's not got there. If that is flicked over his head, it's going to end up in the back of the net. So a bit of a shaky start there from Jake Leaker. Have a look at this again. The ball's going to come wide here, then it's going to get whipped in. Oh, Leaker's coming, and it's Paz who, if he gets that flick on right and over the keeper, that's in the back of the net, Paz. Again, we talk about them not being clinical enough, Loudoun. Lovely play down the flanks, beautiful crosses in, final touch, just not quite there.
Velarde. We'll talk about that clinical finishing that has sort of eluded this Loudoun side. There's an article that came out from Pittsburgh Soccer Now that was just named Preview. Are Loudoun bad or just unlucky? The numbers would suggest the latter. Mustafa trying to break through, and Velarde sent that back into a difficult position to play out of. Di Pietro took it away. Mustafa rolling, nobody home. Take expected goals for precisely what it's worth, but it was a really interesting analytical view of it. Loudoun United have a team expected goals of 13.25 at this point. They've only scored 7.
That's very worrying, because I think expected goals is an extremely good measurement for most teams in most situations. It really does give you a sense of what you should be scoring. For example, Messi has way more goals than expected. And basically what that says is when he gets chances, he finishes it better than most, because expected goals is an average weighting. So if you're below, you are way worse than average. And that's what those figures are saying to Loudoun. And again, pretty football, lovely touches, everything's fine. But football, soccer is about scoring goals. And if you're scoring half the number you should be, you've got yourself a problem.
And if you're Ryan Martin, you're sitting here at this stage going, we're creating all the chances. Why haven't we been able to score enough? The Shields will walk away from this worse for the experience.
Yeah, picking up a yellow card there. And let's have a look at it again. Late tackle. Didn't really mean it. Could the ref have been a little bit more understanding? Well, maybe not. Was a bit of a connection there, but Matt Franz, the referee, has set the standard for what is a yellow card. Any other tackles that are similar will have to go in the book as well. So yeah, just to finalize your thoughts on strikers up front for Ryan Martin, the sign of a good striker is someone who scores more goals than you expect them to score. And right now, the front 3 or 4 are not doing that for Loudoun. And it's time for them to step up. Maybe tonight is the night.
Well, could be. Perez. There's Forda. One more note from that Pittsburgh Soccer Now article that so wonderfully captured my analytical imagination. Goal difference minus expected goal difference should theoretically give you an idea of both goals scored and goals conceded. Where should you be? Only Red Bull has been quote-unquote unluckier or less clinical to the extent the entire league than Loudoun. Loudoun minus 7.6. New York minus 10.6.
Wow.
So a combination of other teams being extraordinarily clinical in their opportunities against Ryan Martin's side, and Ryan Martin's side failing to convert the chances that they have themselves created. Cicerone lobbing this into a wide area. Velarde. This is starting to look a lot better here from Pittsburgh, and under pressure from Thomas Williamson, it slid out over the line. This is a corner for Pittsburgh.
A good opportunity for Pittsburgh to get their big boys from the back, get them into the box. And this is where teams like Pittsburgh can teach Loudoun something, which is set pieces are a vital part of the game that you've got to get on the end of. You've got to win them, and or win a fair percentage of them, get knockdowns. And teams like Pittsburgh seem to be able to do this more often than not.
Corner Pittsburgh. High arcing ball leaping up over the top kill line. Wasn't able to make contact. This is starting to feel like one of the games where Pittsburgh's actually going to be over 50% possession, the way they're starting to knock this around. But it's been attack-minded in nature. It hasn't really been side-to-side very much.
No, very positive from both sides. And when they last played, it was a 3-2 win for Pittsburgh that Bob Lilly said afterwards they were hanging on at the end. But they hung on. Again, that's a huge difference. With a team like the Riverhounds, they can really grind out results. Just get the feeling with Loudoun that one day all this skill is going to come together. And whether it's today or whether that's for a future occasion remains to be seen.
foul there, buddy. Stop being so
Coup
dramatic.
Di Pietro. Return from Green. Turned over here, came off of Bolivar, who was sitting right over top of that back line. Having seen it now for 20 minutes, do you have a better grip on what we're seeing from Loudoun up front, given what we were waiting to find out when we saw the lineup card?
Yeah, still not 100% sure. It looks like Mustafa's on the right and Bolivar's on the left. And of course you've got Doluis Paz up front. But it's, are they able to worry Pittsburgh? And as yet, nothing, no running at the back four, no sort of skills that would have Bob Lilly thinking, what am I going to do to stop these guys? It's all easily contained by Pittsburgh so far.
Green wins a free kick off Louis Perez, who came up through Troyes and Paris Saint-Germain in France before coming over to UCF, playing in the Orlando area collegiately. 20 minutes or so in, Loudoun and Pittsburgh starting an hour and 45 minutes late. So you might have been thinking, I'll just catch the last half hour of the game. Good news, you can stay the whole time.
100%.
Loudoun sitting 8th in the 8-team Atlantic Division, Pittsburgh in 2nd, 4 points off Tampa Bay, who've had a tremendous season thus far, but even then have shown, including to Pittsburgh, that they can be beat. And it seemed like early on they were a freight train running alone.
And a win, just looking at those numbers or positions in the league table, a win for Pittsburgh takes them a point behind Tampa.
Cross here for Mustafa. And for Loudoun, you're still 2 points in the basement. But I have to say, you're going to feel a lot cheerier after finally getting off the schneid. Green. And there's Leaker. I mean, look, other than playing for England, I don't think you've ever really lost a lot of significant games.
Steady.
Is it coming home? We'll find out. But at some point, it does have to take the psyche of the boys, right?
I think so. I mean, certainly at Man United, you know, you lost one game, it was a tragedy. But Sir Alex Ferguson had a rule: you never lost 2 games on the trot. And absolutely, it would be a catastrophe to lose 3. And I think it's a great psychological way to look at the game. So for Ryan Martin, this sort of 7 losses and 8 is just, it's not ideal, but it's not easy for him. He's got to develop young players. So he's got to balance having 5 or 6 19-year-olds and trying to get them to play against a more mature Pittsburgh team. I don't know there's an easy solution for it. I just don't think that losing is a good habit to get into for young players. But good luck to Ryan Martin and, you know, trying to solve that puzzle. What you need basically is better players given to you to use from the senior team, and then you've got a chance.
That's the way the rule's written.
And when you talk to Ryan Martin, there's a nice competitive fire to him, really tactically inclined, has worked so hand in hand with the academy for the last 4 years. For DC United, you know he's not coming into work saying, well, you know, we can develop somebody today. Samage got that across. Mustafa threw his head out at it and didn't make contact. So it's not for lack of trying. They desperately want to get a win here. Get Loudoun County back on the winning side of the ledger. But Loudoun United continues to trifle with these 1-goal games and ending up on the wrong side.
He's got a great passion for his players, Ryan Martin, and as you say, he really does want to develop them, does want to make it happen. But like that ball into the box there, Mustafa's got a chance of at least getting ahead on it. No contact. That's the commitment. And maybe I'm being unfair, and I apologize if I am. But, you know, sometimes you want to see players really put their body on the line. I'm not so sure I've seen that enough from the Loudoun players. I've seen it from the Pittsburgh players. You don't put your body on the line, you'll have Bob Lilly screaming at you from the touchline. So, you know, I see it from Pittsburgh. I don't see it enough from Loudoun. And again, if I'm wrong, then I do apologize.
Perez. Wharton. Rolling out here for Williamson. Came in on loan from San Jose. Drafted in the first round by Matias Almeida's men. We're now very much in flux with the changes coming to their front office. Certainly that's gotta just be in the thoughts of Williamson. This ball rolled ahead down the left-hand side. Kamari Smith. Smith crossing for Paz. Ball drops off of Mustafa. Leaker came out, and both Leaker and the Loudoun attacker here.
I think it's Paz who went down there, who challenged for the ball. Bravery from both players. I mean, that's a dangerous situation. Great ball in from Kamani Smith. It's a tempting one, and just seconds after I said Loudoun don't put their bodies in the line, they go and prove me completely wrong there. Fantastic bit of bravery. As I said, I think it's Paz who threw himself into that. And Leaker takes a knock on the head as well. Great commitment from both players, and just hope they're going to be okay. Looks like Leaker is. But a very testing ball there from Kamani Smith. If we can look at it again, maybe we can see a little bit more. There is Kamani Smith, head up, sees the possibility with Paz, puts it in there. Keeper gets there first, and then Paz hits him. So it's definitely a free kick for Pittsburgh. Jake Leaker just getting the punch, and bang, then the heads collide.
Well, Leaker standing up with the assistance of the athletic trainer here. And this is where I'm interested to see the direction moving forward of concussion substitutes and caring for the player. Theoretically, you can go with 10 in any other scenario except a goalkeeper, and how you can best make sure that you're looking after the player in a potential head injury scenario while also realizing that a goalkeeper can't leave the game for 5 minutes in return.
Yeah, it is a tricky one, but they have Danny Vitiello on the bench. So if there's any doubt whatsoever, I think they should err on the safety side. If Jake Leaker's okay and Paz is okay, then they can continue. But it's up to the medical staff to check it out, as you say, and it's up to the player, to be honest, as well. All players want to keep playing and they want to be brave, but at the end of the day, if you're feeling a bit dizzy, if you're not quite sure, you know, what's going on around you, that's a good reason to get off the pitch as quickly as possible.
So with Paz apparently prepared to stay on, see Nicky Downs and some of the Loudoun reserves starting to move about. Leaker played at Memphis and then spent some time at Real Monarchs. Was a starter there in the 2018 season. Did briefly get a cup of coffee around Real Salt Lake on loan. Spent the last 2 years at the now defunct Portland Timbers too.
And he's played twice this season, both wins against Loudoun in the 3-2 win here. So he does know what it's like to play Loudoun, and in the Indy game. So played 2, won 2. That's not a bad record to have.
Forda. That drew some concerning groans.
We've seen enough errors by goalkeepers in the Euros to worry every time the ball does come back to a keeper and he's under pressure.
Your poor goalkeeping union. Oh, Mustafa thought he'd gotten through there cleanly, and he hadn't. Kilwine got clipped, and I'm pretty sure Ryan Martin just picked up a yellow card. Try and figure out exactly who the referee here was pointing at, but that was instantaneous yellow.
Yeah, it was pointing in the direction of the bench. I think you're right there. I mean, what's difficult for coaches is that if not a big crowd, everything they say can be heard. So, you know, on a different day, nobody would have heard what Ryan Martin said.
But after a 2-hour lightning delay, everybody heard what Ryan Martin said, except for us. Perhaps that's best for us. Martin did indeed pick up the yellow.
Yeah. Look, I'm sure obviously he was questioning the referee's decision because his player was through on goal and it was a chance for Loudoun. And you can see how much this means to Ryan Martin. We've spoken about the struggles to get a win for Loudoun, but that builds on a coach. And the coach feels for his players. He's got people above him who are asking questions. He's got fans who are stopping him in the street saying what's going on. not easy at all, and that's why, you know, you can see coaches getting, you know, very excitable on the bench. You can understand it, but I guess they have to watch what they say and keep it within the realms of acceptability.
It's better than what they say to you when they see you on the street in Manchester. I promised we would tell lies to one another, and certainly we did during that 2-hour delay. I now know Gary Bailey drastically better than I once did.
It's not just in the streets when you got 80,000 in the stadium chanting unpleasant things about you, or you go to Anfield where they throw food and all sorts at you in goals. It can be a little bit intimidating at times.
Joined by Gary Bailey, legend at Manchester United. Mike Watts on hand, our entire crew in Loudoun and beyond, sticking around through what's been a lengthy lightning delay. And now we are closing in on half an hour in Leesburg, Virginia. Disappointingly, there was expected to be a better crowd tonight, because tonight is Loudoun United's Pride Night. Club proud to look to their diverse support, proudly celebrating all those who support the team, no matter their race or gender, sexual orientation, religious beliefs. Everyone deserves to live in a world where they feel comfortable and safe in their own skin. And we're at our best when we're welcoming strongest together, loud and united. And it's just a little more of a deflated atmosphere this evening after that 105-minute wait to kick this game off. The players had already come onto the field, taken the pictures, made their way out toward their starting positions, and then all the air out of the balloon.
Well, it happens. The players have to get on with the game, but you're right. It's a pity for the crowd, those that went home, and those who never left home because of the weather.
Velarde.
Just sat up for him for a moment there, Velarde. If he could have just played it through to someone, or maybe got a volley off.
Rolled in by Smith. Pass. He and Bolivar were not on the same wavelength.
You can see how they mix up there. Paz came deep. Bolivar went into that sort of number 9 role. And I expect those two to mix it up with Mustafa wide on the right-hand side and Kamani Smith pretty much staying wide on the left-hand side. Now Paz has gone back up front again.
And call it positional play or however you want to go about it, the rotation that we've seen at the highest level of this game has made its way at this stage, where that front four is largely expected to be able to swiftly move from position to position somewhat seamlessly.
Yeah, it's a much more complex game these days than it used to be. In the days gone past, if you're in midfield, that's pretty much where you stayed. Today, you've got to move around. If the coach suddenly goes, hey, we're not playing 3 at the back, we're playing 4, you've got to drop, you've got to change positions. And that's why these players are real students of the game, or they should be anyway, understanding exactly what different sort of systems mean in terms of what you need to produce.
Charging ahead here, Griffin.
Don't touch him, he falls.
Good from Perez. Took a lot of effort, but the Riverhounds do continue through Wheat. There was no advantage there. And with Danny Rivera being knocked down, the play will come back. That was Samake who went into him harshly from behind.
It's a dangerous place for a free kick just outside the box. Maybe at too much of an angle to go for goal, but a little whip ball over the top. Got some good headers of the ball there in that Pittsburgh Riverhound side. Cicerone for one of them, needs to get himself in the middle. Wheat, Kilwine.
It'll be Perez or Williamson to put this in play. The way everybody's lined up, hard to imagine they're not going for goal. Williamson steps over. So it is Perez. Rippled the net, but play stopped here.
Referee saying be careful of pushing, or did you actually, if he pushed, it's a penalty. He's just saying be careful of pushing. But you see this all the time with corners and free kick. Everyone's shoving, pushing, holding. We go through it every single time. Maybe one day the referees will just say, look, guys, there needs to be space between everyone. Just, you know, give yourself a bit of moving room.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Gary. I'm pretty sure they scooped up some of the foam and perhaps tried to move that a few inches closer. So that's a second heaping dose of ref edge applied to the field.
Wait.
Not often you get to see literally two from the same spot. Perez this time off the wall. Rivera. And now Loudoun a chance to run. And they've gotten by Wharton. That was phenomenal from Rivera.
Yeah, that's exactly what you need to do when you've made an error. Made another error.
Mustafa forward. Bolivar.
And they've done well, Loudoun, to pounce on those errors. Just mentioning Rivera doing so well to get back and win it. Then the team give the ball away a second time there. That time it was Shane Wheat. Now, is there an end product here from Bolivar? No. Doesn't make the goalkeeper work. Doesn't get the ball across to any of his teammates. And again, that's what Ryan Martin will be looking at, guys. I need something clinical. When you get in that box, I need to at least see the goalkeeper working.
Rare sloppy moment here from Pittsburgh. They've eked out of it now and launched this forward. Williamson. You do see some of the fire coming back here for Loudoun. They felt like perhaps they're being pushed back a little bit onto their heels. I hate to say it, but it may have been the yellow card to Ryan Martin that sort of got this team going. It does feel like that's your potential inflection point.
Well, maybe that's what he's trying to do as a manager, is get some of the aggression over to the players, get them to realize that they have to fight for every ball in every way they can. It's one thing saying that to them in the locker room. I think he's trying to get that energy across to them as well.
He's up on his feet and gesturing. His hands have gone to his pockets now, but he was almost on his haunches there a moment ago. Comes out toward Perez. Perez knows better. That's a goal kick here for Loudoun United.
Lots of instructions coming from the bench. And they play out under a bit of pressure, Loudoun. As I said, very tidy on the ball, very good in possession. But again, if you look at stats against Charleston Battery, 63% possession, but 3 shots on target to Charleston's 8. So, you know, possession doesn't mean that much if you don't get the shots on target and good shots on target, if you don't make the opposition goalkeeper work. And if I can just go back to the Hartford game, which they lost 2-1 and very unlucky to lose the last kick of the match goal by Cardona. Again, the stats are nearly 60% possession, but just 2 shots on target to Hartford's 7.
And what's more, it was 1-1 before. How long was the delay?
Yes, there was a delay in the 87th minute for, I think it was half an hour or something. And up until that point, Loudoun looked like the most likely to win it.
Yeah.
I was on the call for that match, and they played really well. And you're thinking, oh, at the end, 1-1, they're going to go on and win this. Then you have a half an hour break, come back out, and bang, Hartford beat them 2-1 with a kick in the last seconds of the game. But again, Hartford showed the desperation and the way in which you can manufacture a win, whether it's through commitment, just getting the ball in the box, desire, whatever it is. It's something Loudoun haven't been able to do. And you made the point that after the 7 games they lost, 6 have been by 1 goal. Not been by a lot. But in each of those situations, they haven't been able to turn it around in the last few minutes. And other teams will always show you a game in which they've scored in the last minute to equalize, or it's that little extra fight at the end that Loudoun need to find.
Loudoun right now 5 consecutive defeats. Just trying to find an answer here. We'll give them credit for the fact that at this stage they've largely spread their scoring out perfectly. 7 goals, and over the, call it quarter-hour increments, right? 2 in the final 15, 1 in the other 15-minute increments of the game. That doesn't mean that those drew you into a point-gaining position. Loudoun sitting on 3, couple wins here based on where the table is, and all of a sudden you're hanging right around the line again.
It's a tough group they're in as well, and got to say that they come up against some really, really good teams time and time again. I mean, Tampa Bay, as you've said, have been absolutely phenomenal for most of the season. Charlotte Independence, good side. Hartford Athletic, also a very good side. Miami FC have bolstered their squad with a whole bunch of top-class players. Charleston Battery are climbing up rapidly with games in hand. So I don't think Loudoun could have picked a much tougher group than this Eastern Atlantic Division.
For what it's worth, that win over Loudoun, perhaps a deal with the devil from Harry Watling, because the form has sagged a bit since that time for Hartford Athletic. It does feel like this group might be tough enough that teams are going to beat up on each other and some points are going to hit the cutting room floor. And maybe there's room here to get back into the mix, because you're only a quarter of the way through the season.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, there's plenty of time for Loudoun, but they need to start winning. And, I mean, we said the same about Pittsburgh after game 3 or 4, that they were really struggling. I think they lost 2 out of the first 3. And yet they bounced back and they've had a fantastic run, and now they're looking great. Loudoun need to do the same, but they need to do it soon, because they're slipping further and further behind that top 4 position, a playoff position.
Samake, one giant hand from Leaker.
Decent save from the goalkeeper, reads it well. It's a long way out, but well done, Samake. Something positive, something creative, something that makes the opposing goalkeeper work. Comes in on his right foot to deliver that. And it's not the most difficult for Jake Leaker, but he pushes it away from danger, out for a corner.
Jeremy Garay will take this corner, brought to you by Loudoun Economic Development. Smake sucking in Velarde. Garay. Coup Di Pietro. He'll have a go! Oh, what a stunner!
That's a great strike from Coup Di Pietro. Comes in on his right foot. At last they're putting the goalkeeper under pressure. And you see what happens, you get a goal out of it. Goalkeepers joining in the celebrations as well, Jermaine Forder. But they've been around the fringes all this game so far, Loudoun. Pretty football, but no efforts on goal. Suddenly, bang, bang, 2 shots there. Samake with one that Jake Leaker saves, and this one from Coup Di Pietro. What a good strike from a 19-year-old. Did seem to go in a little bit easily. Was there a deflection or not? Because Jake Leaker just seemed to watch it go past. So he doesn't even dive for it, the goalkeeper, so it makes you wonder if there is a deflection or not. Maybe the goalkeeper was just unsighted. But either way, it's in the corner, and it gives the home side a much-needed 1-0 lead.
His 3rd professional goal for Loudoun United, and perhaps in a telling statement of fact, both previous instances he scored, the team won.
There's good omens then for Loudoun United fans.
Ted Coup Di Pietro, pretty highly thought of, signed his first professional contract in January 2020, and of course we all know what happened 3 months later. But out of Oakton High School, graduated in 2020, came up through the DC Academy and some time with the U.S. Youth National Team as well. There's plenty of potential there. Of course, the first time he scored a goal, he was also sent off. So, but they did win.
Well, let's hope it doesn't happen to him this time.
Smith outside. Smake cutting this back.
We haven't seen that much from Pittsburgh up front, have we? Cicerone's been a bit quiet. Williamson a little bit on his own up there for much of the game. You wonder when the substitutes might come on second half.
Tremendous run, and Leaker leaps and gets this away. There's a brewing confidence right now in Coup de Pietro.
Another good strike from Coup de Pietro. This time the goalkeeper's able to see it all the way and makes the save, edge of the box. Good save from Jake Leaker. It's all coming from Loudoun at the moment. Last few minutes, that's the third shot on target. We had nothing for nearly 40 minutes, and then 3 good efforts that have worked Jake Leaker.
This corner kick brought to you by Loudoun Economic Development, a team that's always in your corner. There'll be another here. The goal by Coup de Pietro, also brought to you by Loudoun Economic Development, always here to help you with your business goals. Closing in on 3 minutes of stoppage time, theoretically. Mustafa. Well, who touched that last? It'll be a goal kick.
Not the most convincing from Jake Leaker. That's the second cross that's come in. The second one, he dropped the first one in the first couple of minutes and doesn't get that. That should be pretty standard for a goalkeeper of his ability. High ball, lots of time on it. Should be able to get up and catch that comfortably, or at worst punch it clear. Does neither. He's got Vitiello on the bench, looking to get back in the team for the next match, so he's got to perform well if he wants to keep his place.
Leaker. It is indeed 3 additional minutes. Stoppage time presented by Ortho Virginia, the official sports medicine partner of Loudoun United FC.
I was just saying before that last shot that Pittsburgh haven't shown much up front, and you look at that bench and Albert Dikwa, Alex Dixon and his pace, Conrado Forbes. It's a lot of firepower that Bob Lilly can bring onto the pitch in the second half if he chooses to. And you think if this result stays the same, then certainly we'll be seeing those 3 very talented gentlemen at some stage.
Mustafa chasing, pass, leapt over the ball because Kilwine just lunged out at it. Instead now, Bolivar. Eventually it was a swarm of bees that surrounded him, 5 in total.
He had chances to pass that ball, Bolivar. I think there's a few of his teammates there who are looking at him. Probably said a few unpleasant words to him as well, because the idea there is, as you drag those defenders into you, then to play it out wide to one of your teammates who's found some space. He wasn't able to do that.
We mentioned the significant squad rotation here for Pittsburgh from the outset. You mentioned all the options available to Pittsburgh moving forward here. They will return home on the weekend to take on Charlotte. And realistically for Pittsburgh, right now you're playing Friday, Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday. 4 games in about 12 days' time. And you're going to have to make decisions whether you're leaning in with this group the rest of the way, whether you're willing to see potentially 45 minutes of Conrado Forbes, knowing you may look for another 180 in the next week.
I think it's a very good point you make. It's, as I mentioned, a very tough group. And next game, Charlotte, Charleston, you might not pick up that many points. You might get a couple of draws or something up against good teams, which means this match for Pittsburgh, it's one of those that you want to, with all due respect to Loudoun at the bottom of the table, you're thinking we need to get 3 points.
Coup de Pietro won't dial it up again. Instead, pass. Pass again. Ted Coup de Pietro in the closing seconds of this first half. This will be a corner. For what it's worth, you and I both sort of gawked at it. 6 games between Pittsburgh and Loudoun.
6 wins, yeah.
Yeah. Pittsburgh's won all 6. You talked to Bob Lilly, and he goes, don't dare sleep on New York or Loudoun. He recognized how difficult these 2 games were going to be. However, they have been points in the bank every time you've done it. Records are meant to be broken, and that'll go screaming through. Lobbed over, I believe, by Smith, and that should take us to halftime. It will. Ted DiPietro scoring an absolute missile.
Yeah, one very good goal, one shot save, a good shot save by Jake Leaker. Suddenly came to life at the end there, Loudoun. All that pretty football resulted in some efforts on goal. One which gets through, but this is a Pittsburgh side who I think we're going to see a lot of changes in the second half. They're going to come out firing, and I think Bob Lilly will have a tough word or two to say to his players at halftime.
Well, was that worth the wait? I would say it was. Halftime is presented by Segra, and it's coming up in just a moment. We'll take a look around the league from some of the key results over the weekend. News and notes, first half highlights, including that tremendous goal by DiPietro. Loudoun leads at the half, 1-0.
This is business today. Fast, unpredictable, always changing. Shifting trends and technologies are pushing aside old rules. The unexpected is the new normal. At Segra, we'll help you navigate a complex future with state-of-the-art voice, internet, and data protection solutions. We know you have dreams, and we see your potential. Segra, freedom to grow.
In the heart of DC's wine country lies a retreat and conference center like no other, where award-winning chefs create signature dishes using local farms, where the wine is poured just miles from the vines and the beer is brewed right next door, where challenge courses invigorate and meeting rooms inspire, where the welcome starts at check-in and continues throughout your stay. Like Loudoun United, the National Conference Center builds world-class teams in the place we all call home. Saddle up.
Back here in Leesburg, Virginia, Loudoun 1, Pittsburgh 0 here at halftime. We have the makings of a major midweek upset, something Pittsburgh has not been on the wrong end of in quite some time. Halftime brought to you by Segra. These highlights are brought to you by These Games Good. Louisville Indianapolis Proximity Association football contest. Louisville and Indy. It would finish 3-3. Del Piccolo gets a touch on this. Wouldn't be the only back heel. This was such a back-and-forth affair. Cammie Smith scored next from Hackshaw.
Yeah, Hackshaw with a lovely ball in and just allowed to get in front of the defender, Smith.
Jonathan Gomez, remember, 17 years old, preliminary roster for the Gold Cup for the U.S. national team. Bangs that in with a deflection. How about this? Moonshot to Hackshaw.
Yeah, Hackshaw does well, but who's marking Hackshaw? He's about 8 yards out on his own.
Skip ahead to the 41st minute. And here's the go-ahead goal from Manuel Arteaga. Indy takes a 3-2 lead. And then Corbin Bone from Ownby clips that home, 3-3.
The 32-year-old just getting to the near post and getting that equalizer in the 78th minute. What a game, 3-3.
Wonderful,
Wow.
yeah. Louisville Indianapolis Proximity Association football contest matchup there. Miami Charlotte moving into the Atlantic Division here. Starting the 18th minute, Callum Chapman Page. We'll just nudge that home.
Oh, what a great strike. Right in the top corner there. Miller can't reach it.
Skip ahead here to the 32nd, and the great Dane Kelly.
Oh, I think the goalkeeper might have to hold his hands up for that one. Just saying.
And then in the 76th minute, Ba getting forward and shifted home off the post by Ariel Martinez. 2-1 Miami.
35-year-old Cuban getting his first goal of the season and celebrating in style.
And then, Gary, you called this one. Sacramento taking on Phoenix. Solomon Asante would get the opener.
Oh, who else? Solomon Asante. What a player that 30-year-old Ghanaian is. Brilliant.
And then Egbo will come up with the next here, making that driving run down the middle of the field.
Santimoa to Asante. First time. Egbo's on side. Thank you very much. 2-0.
Sacramento wouldn't go entirely quietly into the night. That's Casey, the center back.
Yeah, Dan Casey, the Irishman, getting on the end of that. Made a real fist of it, Sacramento Republic. Did very well. Down to 10 men for most of that.
And Sacramento will take on San Diego Saturday, ESPN Dose. 7 o'clock Eastern time kickoff for that. Don't want to miss Landon's streaking side against Sacramento. Meanwhile, here in Leesburg, Loudoun 1, Pittsburgh 0. Look around the league before we get to highlights when our halftime continues, presented by Segra.
I wasn't going to let anything get in my way of achieving my goals, which were to be a professional soccer player. So the first opportunity I got at preseason, when a teammate asked like if I was dating a girl or something, I just came out to a bunch of my teammates at dinner and said, no, I'm gay. All I needed to do was that one time, because then I didn't lie. Your sexuality should never limit you from playing the sport you love.
Brings it down to his chest. Jordan McCreary has tied it here. Takes a hard strike, saved by Romo.
In the heart of DC's wine country lies a retreat and conference center like no other, where award-winning chefs create signature dishes using local farms, where the wine is poured just miles from the vines and the beer is brewed right next door, where challenge courses invigorate and meeting rooms inspire, where the welcome starts at check-in and continues throughout your stay. Like Loudoun United, the National Conference Center builds world-class teams in the place we all call home. Saddle up.
If you were injured tomorrow, the ER may not be your best option. At Ortho Virginia, we can treat urgent orthopedic injuries without an appointment and diagnose non-urgent injuries virtually through video visits. Take the first step toward recovery, because stronger starts here.
Download the new Loudoun United app to stay up to date during the 2021 season. Receive team news, roster updates, ticket specials, contests, and more delivered directly to your device.
It's probably still underneath.
1-0 Loudoun United over the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, number 8 team in the Atlantic taking on the number 2 team in the Atlantic, and with that scoreline, you couldn't tell which was which. We'll show you highlights later, but let's take you around the league as halftime rolls on, presented by Segra. 10,000 goals. Stavros Zarkostas for Charleston. That's probably a sore subject in Loudoun.
That was the first goal, the first of 3. Nick Daly getting 2 in that match as well. But well done, Zarkostas.
Sebastian Velasquez is signed with El Paso, coming back from Israel. Brandon Allen has joined Oakland Roots up front. Perhaps he can be the goal scorer they're looking to. And you'll see a SoCal, NoCal battle Independence Day weekend. Saturday, July 3rd, San Diego, Sacramento. You got a favorite?
San Diego's playing so well. They've turned the corner. I mean, when you can beat Phoenix Rising and nearly beat them on their home ground, they drew 2-2 with goals in the last couple of minutes of it at a time. I think San Diego are here to stay.
Let's take a look at the scoreboard around the league, try and get you caught up on what happened since Saturday. OKC, that's a big win for them. Atlanta are falling fast. And Tacoma, big win over LA Galaxy too. That's a shocker.
Tacoma have been very good this season. They really have surprised me. San Diego getting that result that sees them right up near the top, just behind Phoenix Rising. And Birmingham Legion, half-time, 1-1.
Well, they've dropped a couple of points surprisingly over the course of the year. That would probably be top of the list. The upcoming schedule, all on ESPN+. Colorado Springs and Orange County is becoming a more and more intriguing matchup by the day. That's the only game tomorrow, and then Friday we're packed, 4 games.
Yeah, Tampa Bay Rowdies, Charleston Battery, what a game that should be. Lou City might not have an easy one there at Sporting KC 2. And Indy 11 desperate for some points. They're hosting Birmingham Legion.
Coming off a win and a draw under their new manager, Max Rogers. But can they get a win there against Birmingham that would move them up the table at home at the mic? Loudoun at home here, and with a 1-goal lead at halftime. We'll take a look at first half highlights after these messages.
This is business today. Fast, unpredictable, always changing. Shifting trends and technologies are pushing aside old rules. The unexpected is the new normal. At Segra, we'll help you navigate a complex future with state-of-the-art voice, internet, and data protection solutions. We know you have dreams, and we see your potential. Segra, freedom to grow.
Halftime is presented by Segra, and we welcome you back to Leesburg on a night where we started about 2 hours late, and perhaps I didn't say it full-heartedly enough, very much worth the wait. Loudoun 1, Pittsburgh 0 here at halftime. Mike Watts, Gary Bailey, chance to take a look back at first half highlights, and they are presented by Segra. We start in the 15th minute of play. Pittsburgh really did hold the majority of the attacking possession in the early stages of this game. Good dicing ball down the line for Louis Perez, who moves into the starting lineup on a rotation game. That's easy for Ford, huh?
Yep, the idea was good, but he just a little bit too much height on it. Had a runner at the near post if it was a little bit lower.
So Loudoun avoids any trouble there. Skip ahead to the 22nd minute. Jeremy Garay pounding this into the corner, and not a bad look here from Samake. Just nothing there for Amostafa.
Yeah, Amostafa not able to make contact with that ball that caused the defense a few problems.
And then Pittsburgh starting to get a little dicey in possession. It was about a 5-10 minute span where it seemed a little subpar from them. Bolivar first, lashing high and wide.
That's a good opportunity. Nice turnover ball in a dangerous area. Got to make the goalkeeper work. We kept on about that first half. Jake Leaker just watches that fly wide.
And then skip ahead to the 42nd minute. Couple chances in short order. Samake lashed at goal. Good save by Leaker. And then this from Coup Di Pietro in the 42nd. Phenomenal.
It's a wonderful, wonderful strike. Just not sure why Jake Leaker didn't dive for it. Was he unsighted? Was there a slight defection? Can't quite see. Either way, it doesn't make any difference. Coup Di Pietro, nice and positive, took the chance, and he gets his reward.
And it's a very calm Ryan Martin on the bench. Very much determined in trying to end this 5-match losing streak for Loudoun. And it goes without saying, but we'll say it again anyways, because we've heard it from enough coaches, Gary, that I think some fans, maybe in Pittsburgh, maybe around the league, were thinking Pittsburgh on the road to Loudoun midweek. You think about midweek games for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, they've won 8 consecutive midweek games going back to last year. So even when they rotate, they always seem to come out on top. Bob Lilly wasn't buying that at the beginning of the week. He thought this could be a stumbling block, and it's proving to be difficult.
Yeah, because they are a very good side, Loudoun, and they've been, I won't say unlucky to have lost, but of the 7 matches they've lost 6, they've only lost by 1 goal. So they've been in and in about it. They just haven't been able to turn it to their advantage. And Bob Lilly was concerned that one day they would get it right. And to be fair, just before halftime, for a 5-minute spell, shots on target, they looked really, really good, Loudoun United. Now, the challenge is, not only can they keep it going the next 45 minutes with this man, Coup Di Pietro, playing well, but when they start throwing on Dikwa, Alex Dixon, Conrado Forbes, then will Loudoun be able to stand up to Pittsburgh.
Coup Di Pietro bagging the goal, 1 of 3 shots on target. Our halftime stats are brought to you by Segra. Possession in favor of Loudoun in totality. It felt like Pittsburgh at times had really good attacking possession.
Didn't do much with it. We didn't see much of Cicerone. Such a good player, scoring goals and assists. He was anonymous. Louis Perez down that left-hand side. Bob Lilly will not have been happy with Louis Perez. Didn't do enough damage there. Tommy Williamson the same. 1 shot on target for Pittsburgh Riverhounds. No, if Bob doesn't get a response in the next 10 minutes, then you'll start to see the changes. I think you'll see them anyway, but you'll see them sooner than later if Pittsburgh don't get going in the second half.
Well, now that Bob Lilly has taken his seat, we're able to begin the second half of play. One wonders what that halftime talk was like. Perhaps peeled a little wallpaper off in the locker room.
Yeah, I would think so.
Pass. Right from the opening gun. That's away by Leaker. I got to admit, whether it's the jacket that Bob Lilly's wearing or just those outstanding pair of spectacles, man's coming out with some style here. Meanwhile, that's going to be a yellow for Bolivar.
Into the near, don't cover him. Kill it.
Yeah, Bob Lilly in his 4th season, 3 consecutive playoffs that he's reached, which is why as the yellow card is given out, you've got to expect him to get his team back there again. He knows what needs to be done, and he knows what it takes to win matches. not so sure it's worthy of a yellow card, that tackle by Bolivar.
Not given theoretically what he did in the first half. I don't know that there were any challenges that made me think he was on the verge.
But again, you know, as a referee, Matt Franz, if he's going to be that harsh, and it's his prerogative to be, then long as he's consistent, I think the players will say, fair enough. Just got to be very, very careful with our tackles.
Clearance will fall right to Danny Rivera. Swung across by Danny Griffin, who's played every minute so far this season.
I think he's the only player to play every minute, isn't he?
For Pittsburgh, yes.
Yeah.
Once Kenardo Forbes dropped his start streak, you think about it for Pittsburgh, I think it may be a very long time before we see a player start as many consecutive games as Kenardo did.
He's such an important player to the side, and since he's been pushed up in midfield, when we spoke to Bob Lilly a few weeks ago, he was playing Kenardo Forbes a little bit deeper. The moment he pushed him up, suddenly they became more creative, getting more opportunities. And that's going to be at the back of Bob Lilly's mind now. Do I get Kenardo Forbes on to try and create opportunities?
Velarde sneaks this across. Perez, Pittsburgh level. Less than 3 minutes out of halftime. Totally unmarked off the edge. Louis Perez answers.
That's what Bob Lilly would have asked for in the locker room. A lot more positive, a lot more incisive and clinical for Pittsburgh. We didn't see much of them in that first half, but Velarde running in that defense, and then Louis Perez getting free of his marker, sticking that past Jermaine Ford. A nice pass from Velarde. Good finish. Don't have to thump it past the keeper's got to find the right angle to beat Jermaine Ford. They've done that. They're now back on level terms.
And with that, Perez first professional goal. 24-year-old native of suburban Paris. Well, we'll see if that's a statement of intent of how this half is going to go, or a bump in the road here for Loudoun. Free kick won by the home side through Coup Di Pietro.
Did feel like that goal was a little bit too easy for Pittsburgh to score. There was space for Louis Perez on the edge of the box. There was no defender goal side of him. Velarde was running at the defense and he had space to run into. It's just, you know, if people are going to score against you, you've got to make it as tough as possible. It looked a little bit too straightforward.
Maintaining pass. Perhaps a lesson learned for Leaker. Even with that off target, he's still
diving and covering. Yeah, I've got no idea why he didn't dive for the goal that was scored by Coup Di Pietro. I can only assume that it was either a deflection or he was totally unsighted.
Is there an element of, you know you're beat or you know it's off target, but you give it that courtesy dive as a goalkeeper?
Absolutely, always dive. It's something I teach the keepers when I'm training them. You never know what you can reach, so just keep diving. I mean, unless it's already way past you, then it's an embarrassing dive. But you never know what you're going to reach, so give it a try.
I know you're not much of a baseball man, but the idea of falling backwards in the batter's box for a really good curveball for a strike. Some things are just a little too embarrassing.
Yeah.
We're not enforcing the box rule.
See Griffin there, involved in that scrum in midfield.
Come on, if our coach gets a yellow, that's a yellow.
Danny Griffin, time at Providence, played with Julian Gressel there. They've built a really good program and actually a new stadium up for the Friars in Rhode Island as well, off all their NCAA success in the Big East. Griffin happy to just focus on soccer, and that's a good thing because he's on his way to potentially playing all 900 minutes in the first 10 games for Pittsburgh, as we mentioned. Rivera. Excellent from Coup Di Pietro, and ball rolled ahead. Pass. Pass is all alone. Pass. There's the save from Leaker.
Paz is in such a good position. He hit it straight at the goalkeeper. If you know, and that That's the clinical nature of what Loudoun are not getting right. That's a very, very good chance. Now, that fell to Pittsburgh. They took it. They found a way to get the ball around Jermaine Forder. Paz has lots of time there, got to pick a spot, hits it straight at Jake Leaker. I mean, what a time for Loudoun to have gone 2-1 up. They desperately needed that as a goal, and I think that's a really good chance it's gone a begging.
And therein lies the problem. You might call that probably somewhere between 0.3, 0.4, 0.5 expected goals.
Yep.
But you didn't get it.
Didn't get it, yep.
So it's been for Loudoun this year. Conversely, you could argue that Ku Di Pietro's goal was probably a lower probability strike in and of itself, that they did score. But goals win games, goals change games, and Loudoun this year have struggled to find the key goal in the key moment.
Yep, very, very true. And I get the sense that you asked the question, did Bob Lilly tear a strip off this team at halftime? I've got to think yes, because they've come out a different side. They're attacking, they're pressurizing Loudoun, they're winning the 50-50s.
This sits up, and somehow Wharton was able to weave that back into the penalty area.
Push in the back!
See, they're picking up all the loose balls, they're winning the 50-50s. They've been dominating this first 10 minutes, Pittsburgh.
You got it, send him! You got it, yeah!
Paz able to maintain.
There's no foul there!
Away from Paz a second time with a little less acrobatics off the tail end. Garay.
He's not even in his box. Don't listen to him.
Some inter-coach discussions taking place.
There's the cross. It's over Paz. And watch this, Garay. That's deflected down. An impressive little flick there to bring that away from goal. Samake. Wonderful, but the touch couldn't lead forward there for Paz.
Oh, if Paz just gets that first touch into the box, he's away and gone, and one-on-one with the keeper. Another good chance that's gone a begging.
There's no foul. Get up! Get up!
De Shields helped to win that. And everyone thinks they can chip keepers now.
Yes. There's been a couple of examples in the Euros. Schick in particular against Scotland. It takes a lot of skill and a lot of luck, I guess, to pull off that sort of strike. A long way out. It's got to be the perfect strike with the right amount of pace and the goalkeeper firing off his or her line.
Well, there's a yellow card that just came down to Todd Wharton. Trying to get an eye on who the referee, Matt Franz, was pointing out there.
Oh, come on. He went down too easy.
I'll say this. I don't think that's a coach.
Well, that's shouting from the sideline.
Yeah, I think that's a shout from the first row. Wharton's card, by the way, dissent, and he's continuing to have a conversation here now that he's been booked.
Now, this is also a team putting pressure on the referee, a team that is aggressive, wanting to win, challenging the officials. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying it's the professional side of the game that Pittsburgh are doing a lot more of in the second half. Again, you get the sense that Bob Lilly has given them an ultimatum out there and said, you guys start playing or I'm gonna bring on people off the bench who will play for me.
So Todd Wharton will walk away from that ongoing conversation. And it's Kilwine. That placed and struck into the bleachers.
Oh, the dramatics! Oh,
And an injured player down for the Riverhounds is Perez, who just scored moments ago.
You were talking about some of these games these players have coming up, and all these injuries they're picking up at the moment, but this month of June being the busiest month for the Hounds. If they win tonight, that would give them 5 wins, a draw, and a loss for the month. Only the second time since 2004 that the Hounds would have picked up 5 wins in the same calendar month. So besides moving up the table and just getting behind Tampa by 1 point, they'd also be setting some records for themselves.
Good historic 30 days in June if they can find a win. And gosh, Perez down a second time. That is injury to insult to injury. And the yellow cards come out here to green.
Referee, you've lost control of this game because you will not call calls against Pittsburgh.
Let's have a look at it again. Yeah, gets the player first. And looks straight at the referee. Green, you can Jacob Green. He knew he was a guilty look. But at least he's committed. Give him credit. Jacob Green, only 18 years of age, getting stuck in there, trying to show that he can fight for the cause.
And by the way, you just saw the reinforcements have arrived for Pittsburgh. 3 subs waiting to come on for. I didn't realize we're on a first-name basis with the team, the Hounds. Release the Hounds. That does anything for you? I don't know. No?
No, not really.
Slide in, denies on Mustafa. And everybody's picking up a knock right now. That was Jalen Robinson.
He hurt him all his own self there. Hey,
Some tough tackling going on in the second half. And credit Loudoun with their young players. They're making a real fist of this game, and that's what their coach Ryan Martin would have asked of them, to man up. If you're going to win this game, you've got to battle physically, and they're really getting stuck in. And Mustafa there, maybe just following through a little bit, catching Jalen Robinson.
Now, Robinson did actually play in USL Championship while he was under contract at DC United, but it was a precursor to Loudoun United's very existence. So time in Richmond over 3 separate seasons, make it 4 separate seasons after signing as a homegrown in 2014. And actually went to then referred to as Arizona United.
Wow. Good history.
Now Phoenix Rising. That was before Didier Drogba came into the fold.
And turned that team around, and haven't they been fantastic, Phoenix Rising? But Tampa Bay challenging them now in the East. San Diego challenging them in the West. It's not all straightforward there for Phoenix Rising. There's Canardo Forbes.
2014 was back in the time where Canardo Forbes was just peeking around into the league in Rochester, and Long Tan was at Arizona United, and oh, those were the days.
Yeah.
I had never called a game in the league. Better for everybody. Those were the days.
Canardo Forbes, it shows you what a wonderful career he's had. That, what is it, 7, 8 years later, and he's still able to come on a pitch and everyone talk about him as the man to influence this game.
As good an assist getter as this league has ever known. And should he get in, his next assist would make him the all-time Riverhounds leader in assists. He's currently level with Kevin Kerr.
I'm sure he'll break that record this season.
Sooner than later.
Yep, you would think so.
And just, could there be a more fitting on-field leader for Pittsburgh, a better conduit for what Bob Lilly is looking to do than Canardo Forbes? The idea of someone else wearing the captain's armband, you almost think it should be vacant in his absence. The way he's taken over from Kevin Kerr in that role.
And you can see his effectiveness from the fact that he was played deeper early in the season. And Bob Lilly himself said that he feels maybe it's time to push him up. The moment you push him into attack, Canardo Forbes, that's where his real strength is. Little chips into the box. The goal last week against New York Red Bulls, his chip to Cicerone. Cicerone heads it down to Dikwa. They win the game.
Williamson. Timmy Mell. Set over the line. He's captaining this Loudoun side tonight. Here come the changes for Pittsburgh. Dixon, Dikwa, Forbes. Oh. This might be the best trio of substitutes paired together all season by any team.
No doubt about that. And this is a big test for Loudoun now, because there's a fresh legs. Maybe they're going to have to bring on their own fresh legs. But you've got 3 top players coming in So they bring a level of skill with them. They bring a level of new energy. It's going to be a massive challenge for Loudoun United.
Wharton on a yellow, Williamson and Louis Perez, who scored the goal in the 48th, of the players who come off here. So these are subs 1, 2, and 3 of 5, and that means only 2 windows remain, but only 2 subs. So that'll alleviate any of those questions for Bob Lilly. Comes just after the hour mark. Mel. Substitutions are brought to you by Segra. Look at that ball fly through the grandstands. Not a bad catch in the end. That drew some applause. Problem is the throw was a hair long. Those boards move? Wow. The more you know. You know, what's interesting, Bob Lilly is still on the sideline talking with Williamson, arm around his shoulder and just gesturing, pointing. I mean, you're talking about a 22-year-old first-round pick of San Jose, and there's a feeling in San Jose that, you know, Bob Lilly's team is a good place for him to come and gain pro experience, learn the game better. Sometimes with a loaned player, you don't always see that total investment from a coaching staff. That's not really Bob Lilly's style. Ball across gets by Dixon, who slides that to keep. Deflects off Bolivar. Danny Rivera threw quickly, and well, there's a stoppage here, and boy, Loudoun saved by the bell. It'll be Robbie Dambrot first to come on. And he won't be the only one. Pancho too.
3 subs, so it's you put your hand out there, I'll match you. 3 for 3.
And Nicky Downs, too, was warming up a bit in the first half, former Hartford Athletic player. So you're talking 3 guys who pretty regularly find their place in the 11.
Good job, Greedy.
Green among those coming out here. You have to say that Smith perhaps a bit unlucky not to find something in this game statistically, the way he closed out the first half, but outside of that, struggled to find the flow. Substitutions are brought to you by Segra.
Oh, that one that wasn't, it was a foul, but wasn't yellow card. Yeah. He poked the ball out. I don't even think it was a foul. He poked the ball out. The guy fell down. Oh, he's grabbing us.
Good read off the turf there by the newly inserted Robbie Dambrot.
Psychologically, Loudoun have to focus on thinking positively themselves. They can't be looking at Conrado Forbes and Dickwin, Alex Dixon, and worrying about them. They've got to find a way to get themselves back on the front foot.
Rolled forward here. Pancho's just come into the game. Smake, this will stop, and it'll come back to an injury here. An injured Loudoun player here midfield.
Is that Puz again who's gone down? He had that head clash in the first half, which is worrying if it is him.
Athletic trainers have gone over to check, and Ryan Martin may have to make further decisions here. He's looking down his bench. I mean, as that whistle sounded, the athletic trainer sprinted out.
Yeah, it is, Puz. Very worrying. When anyone's had a head injury, if they suddenly go down like that, I think everyone's going to just take their time here and make sure they do the right thing for him. Yeah, I'm saying substitute him, and that would seem to be a sensible decision. Credit to him. He got that hit on the goalkeeper early on Jake Leaker, the two of them colliding for the ball, but that just showed his commitment to the cause. Luis Paz, 19 years of age, took a big hit there, but he got up and he played on, and I think probably he's feeling the effects of that earlier hit. Need some good applause from the crowd there for his efforts.
Yeah, he did clash heads with Jake Leaker, right?
Yep. And it was a big hit because the keeper had come out and punched the ball clear. So the keeper's coming out with momentum and force, and the two of them collided. And he's a big goalkeeper, Jake Leaker. As he's 6'2", 6'3".
Past the really highly thought of high ceiling teenager from Venezuela. Latif Abukora will come on. Sub brought to you by Segra, so that's the 4th of 5 substitutions used by Loudoun.
He's 16 years of age, this kid. Very young, what a talent he is, along with so many other young players on the pitch. All wonderful talents, but they've got a battle now against Conrado Forbes, Dikwa, Cicerone, Alex Dixon. If they can get a result, Loudoun United, against this Pittsburgh side, then they can really start to build their confidence and their self-belief.
And let's not forget the win they got to go away to New Mexico and win in Albuquerque is no easy feat, regardless of how New Mexico started the season.
I agree with you, but you have to repeat that on a number of occasions for it to have meaning. Just 1 win and 7 losses is not good enough. Ryan Martin knows that.
Mustafa just broke down here for Loudoun. So at this point, Poss, Green, Smith, and DeShields have come off for Loudoun. And they brought on Downs, Pancho, Abukora, and Dambrot. So that 1 substitute remaining.
They're not getting much service to the front 3. Just looking at Bolivar, if you look at the goals scored in recent games, Bolivar scored in 3 of the last 4 games. He is their best goal scorer. And yet we're just not seeing him getting much of the ball in the box.
Is that something Pittsburgh's done to shut that down, or conversely just a failure to adapt on Loudoun's case?
Yeah, I think Loudoun haven't been able to produce that sort of service. A lot of, again, nice football around here, but you want Bolivar free in the box. You want to slide the ball into him whenever you can. We just haven't seen that this match.
Forbes getting into this. Yes, the captain's armband is returned to its rightful owner.
Just picking up on Loudoun again, the chances have come from Coup de Pietro shooting from outside the box. Nothing inside the box, no little balls through for Bolivar, and even Paz was struggling to get anything in the box there. So that's an area of concern for Loudoun.
Garay. 20 minutes to go. Pittsburgh equalized 3 minutes out of halftime. Luis Perez, the answer to Teg DiPietro's 42nd minute goal, 3 minutes ahead of first half stoppage time. This game delayed by about 100 minutes due to lightning in the area. The winds picked up. The flags around the stadium were practically being ripped off their bearings. But play on we did tonight, and we've gotten a highly competitive match between two teams in very different places, both in current form and in the division. 3 wins on the bounce for Pittsburgh, and Loudoun 5 consecutive defeats, 4 by 1-goal margins.
You wouldn't think so watching them. You think that these two teams are pretty even on what we've seen so far.
Samake crossing all the way through and struck. Perhaps off the post there. Pancho from the edge of the 6-yard box. That'll draw some applause.
Now that's a good cross into the box. That's being clinical, putting in a cross that causes defenders problems. Have a look at this ball coming in from Samake. Lovely, 2 red shirts in the box. That shows commitment. Someone following up at the far post in terms of Pancho and gets a shot. Yeah, it hits the post, unlucky, but that is what they need to do, Loudoun. Bodies in the box, good delivery in there. That's when you start to see something come from your efforts.
Well, so Leaker is taking off his gloves here, and I don't know if he lost a contact lens or this is.
It looks like a contact lens, doesn't it? I wish I'd have had those in my day. I would have had an excuse for all the goals I let in.
Perhaps that explains one in the first half, but that's why you need those Bob Lilly specs.
Problem is you can't play with those, so you gotta play with contacts.
There are, I can count on one hand the number of things I'd oh gosh. Touching your eyeball, I just.
The problem is your hands have been on the grass and the dirt. You've got to make sure not to get an infection there. So I'm sure he washed his hands. I think I saw a little bit of water there, just cleaning his hands before he did that.
Yeah. All right. Is it 2020?
Yeah. Is it on the right way and not backwards?
You've gone a bit of both, right, Kerry? Or do you just walk around a bit unable to see when those glasses are on? No?
No, I'm only having glasses because I'm much older. When I played, I never had glasses. Look, a lot of people said I needed them. That's a whole different story.
And amazingly, they were all Liverpool supporters.
Yeah, and Arsenal and Spurs.
Those Scousers never leave you alone, do they?
Those matches against Liverpool, such rivalries, such hatred. Well, good to see Jake Leaker looking better there. And he has his built-in excuse should anything go wrong.
Well, I got to tell you, gradually you take notes over the course of many years. You and I have covered this league, and right in now, Jake Leaker wears contacts. You find something new all the time. There's actually a goalkeeper in Charleston a few years ago who was legally blind and wasn't able to catch the ball. He punched the ball away every time it came in because he wasn't able to entirely see it. But he saw the blur and would punch the blur. Came in from Cuba and had some corrective work done there.
And did it make him better? You would assume so. Did he not move up to MLS after that?
Can't say he did. Wide here for Mustafa. Samake. Twist by Albert Dequa. I wouldn't say the substitutions for Pittsburgh have really changed the dynamic here.
They haven't at all. I think they're just settling in, but this is where it all comes down to the crunch. 15 minutes to go, 1-1.
Bolivar! Loudoun retakes the lead. It's 2 tremendous goals in pursuit of ending a 5-game skid. And that is worthy of a standing ovation.
That is a brilliant strike from Bolivar, scoring for the 4th time in 5 games. We haven't seen much of him, but when he pops up, absolutely brilliant. Takes the applause from the coaching staff. Let's just have a look at the build-up here. Pancho just knocking it wide. And they're building it up on the outside there, but it comes to Bolivar. Look, he's 20, 22 yards out. Thumps that past Jake Leaker. It's an absolutely brilliant strike. Goalkeeper gives a courtesy dive, but doesn't get anywhere close to it, it seems. Were the defenders standing off him a little bit? Perhaps too much, but what a finish.
And now Loudoun, after scoring 3 minutes before halftime, conceding 3 minutes out of halftime, do hold a lead here. And with all these big names coming in for the Riverhounds about 10 minutes ago, 14 minutes ago to be exact, can they find an answer here on the road, keep this 4-match unbeaten streak alive, put the pressure on Tampa Bay in the Atlantic Division, and avoid what many would point to as maybe their most surprising dropped points of the year? In a season where, truthfully, they only won their first home match on their 4th try last time out.
It's been a mixed season for Pittsburgh, and yet they're still right up there.
Dequa, and there's Forda. I'll have to appreciate that. Shane Wheat lofted that up. Let Dequa get after it.
I'm just wondering if Dequa could have done more with that. It's come over his shoulder. It's a soft effort that Forda can scoop up fairly easily. We were just saying Pittsburgh have had a real mixed season. Slow start, then a couple of good results, and they struggled at home, and they lost to Charlotte Independence, and they lost a couple of other games, and they eventually get on a winning streak, so they won't want to lose that winning streak now.
All the while, if you're Loudoun, these next 13 minutes in stoppage could define your season. Mustafa. Ball skied away. And Pittsburgh completes the clearance only as far as Garay. Ahead now for Garay. Di Pietro scooping that ahead to Garay. Really clever give and go.
That's a brilliant one too. Di Pietro, a little bit special. Garay, you've got to hit the target from there. It's coming over your shoulder. You've got time to see it. Not saying you can beat the keeper, but at least work the keeper. Another one of those moments where if you're a bit more clinical, 3-1, it could be game, set, and match. At 2-1, Pittsburgh are still in this game. And that's going to be the big test now for Loudoun. They've done so well to get themselves 2-1 up. But can they be clinical? Can they be hard? Can they defend a lead? It's a real massive test for Ryan Martin and his men.
And can they pick up their first home points of the season? Di Pietro cleaned off the ball, free kick.
He's played well, Di Pietro. I hope he's okay there, but the goal he scored, the second strike that Jake Leaker had to dive and save, that little chip through moments ago for Garay. He really has been a star of this game, Di Pietro.
Would you like to even them out? 5-1.
It is amazing that Pittsburgh, having made those changes, you would have thought they would have got a bump straight away, but if anything, they've been on the back foot. It's Loudoun who've looked the better of the two teams in the last 10 minutes, besides the goal. You just wonder, how's Canado Forbes going to turn this around? What can Alex Dixon do with his incredible pace? And can they get Dequa on the end of a few crosses?
Ray, Samake.
Good work there from Loudoun, just shutting down Pittsburgh, making it difficult to play out from the back. The onus very much on the visitors now to make things happen.
Pancho.
Coming back for the free kick, a late tackle.
And the yellow card as well to Mel. That is his 4th yellow card, so he is working his way right into an accumulation suspension at this pace. Because after now 4 yellows in 9 games, it's tough to imagine 5 straight without one to start having those come off.
Well, maybe he's doing a Neymar, gets himself suspended so he can go away and have a party with family. I'm just kidding.
Shots
I'm not
fired.
suggesting Timmy Mel would ever do that. Good professional.
But you are saying it, Neymar will.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And has done year after year.
Came off of downs, and this will be goal kick. I do love those stories from referees, you know, after they're done, or players after they're done with their careers saying, you know, this famous guy came up to me, or I went up to a referee and said, you know, I can say something mean to you, or you can just give me a yellow now. But I need next Saturday off.
But when you're as good as Neymar, you can probably do that stuff and get away with it.
Unable to clear that. There's all this space here for Pittsburgh. Conardo Forbes, who came on as a substitute for the second time this season. Watch out, bicycle kick! Forda denies Dequa. Pulling out a little magic to hold on to the advantage for Loudoun.
Dick was absolutely stunned. That is a wonderful piece of skill. Overhead kick, he nailed it. As it comes here, he gets his position. He had a look around to see if there were any defenders. He catches it perfectly. He turns and thinks, this is back of the net. Gets up to celebrate and then can't believe it that Jermaine Forda can get across and make that save.
This will come to the back post. They'll bring play back. Another corner to come. Referee reminding everybody the rules here. Well, I asked again, was it worth the wait?
Oh,
two phenomenal goals. That's probably save of the week.
Yeah, it should be. It should be effort of the week for that overhead kick as well.
Yeah.
The two of them combined. But Loudoun can't waste it here to set piece. They've got to remain vigilant.
Corner. Open header back post. And you know what's most frustrating for Jalen Robinson is play had been stopped previously. Ball came to his foot and he played it just a little bit wide. This time equally unmarked. Headed it wide.
I just asked the question there about being vigilant, Loudoun. They leave him unmarked at the far post. Are you kidding me? And then Jalen Robinson himself, a yellow card for time wasting for Forda. Jalen Robinson doesn't even hit target. Either headed back to where your other strikers are or make the goalkeeper work. Does neither in the 83rd minute. It's a bad miss from Jalen Robinson.
So Forda enters the book here. That is the fourth yellow card issued to a Loudoun player. Forbes takes over. Also the fifth yellow card of this game in total. Well, there were some members of the leadership group for Loudoun United mentioned this earlier in the month when things weren't quite so dire on 5 straight defeats. But after 4 games and just 1 win, as this shifted through and on the turn, Dixon helps gets it wide. Griffin, this will be a corner, but the Loudoun leadership group took the Premier League standings and said this is where it was after 4 games. This past year, you're talking Manchester City in 13th, Chelsea in 10th, Everton and Tottenham on top of the table. Just because the table looks that way then doesn't mean it will at the end of the season.
I agree with you 100%, but you have to be the team that turned that around. And for the very first time in a long time, we're seeing Loudoun actually taking the chances and getting ahead. They've always been in the game, with the exception of the last match where they got thumped 3-0 by Charleston Battery. But in every other game, they've always been in the game, but never been able to finish it off. And with Bob Lilly's side, you can be guaranteed it won't be an easy last 6 minutes plus extra time. Amazing Bolivar. Last 5 games, he scored in 4 of them. What a good striker he is. Just 19 years of age, the Venezuelan.
And you could pretty easily argue that was the best goal he's scored yet for Loudoun.
Could very well be. And Jake Leake is struggling to even get close to it.
There's going to be a notable amount of stoppage time when this is all said and done. We're going to go well past the 90. Nardo Forbes, Loudoun Economic Development corner. And finally, Loudoun able to get the first ball away with ease. Forbes again. And there is a Pittsburgh foul.
Come on! Give him the yellow!
That's Velarde.
Coming a little bit late there, shouts of a yellow card for the late tackle, but I think he was genuinely going for the ball. Kudu Pietro, the goal scorer, is also the hero at the back as well. What a good game he's had.
Bolivar returned a moment ago as well.
Get the Pittsburgh guy out of there! He's causing issues! Card him already!
So shouts from the Loudoun bench about the card, giving a card out to the player who hit Kudu Pietro. But I do think it was a 50-50 that we're both going for at the same time.
Yeah, if you guys stop playing hard and stop hurting us. Tell your players to play the game and not
19 years of age. What a strike for the goal. Bravery in defense. That'll please Ryan Martin so much.
You got this, Teddy.
Dixon sent it forward. Vital intervention by the captain, Mel. Multiple bodies hit the ground. Dixon launching. Whoa, play comes back before that shot gets away.
Do you not know how to put a yellow out for Pittsburgh?
So Samake and Kairu Mustafa were on the ground.
Both coaches throwing in their opinion to the referee. Must be, it's always a tough job being a referee. I really do admire the likes of Matt Franz and his assistants. You're never liked. Whatever decision you give, there's someone not going to like it. But let's have a look here. I didn't see. Oh, it's hard to see. It all happens so quickly. Happens a lot quicker for the referees, and they have to make a decision.
.2 minutes and stoppage time to go. Samake. Downs. He's thinking about it. Downs. That's caught.
Yeah, straight at Jake Leaker. I'm not going to bother the goalkeeper too much there, but they're very close now, Loudoun, as they were in the match at Hartford, and it was a 95th minute goal by Cardona that saw them lose all points. So, oh, that's a bad tackle. That's going to get a yellow card at least.
Mustafa. He goes into the book. Can't argue that.
Yeah. So they're going to have to keep concentrating, Loudoun. Hartford got them in the dying moments of the game. They can't allow it to happen again against Pittsburgh. Obviously, and you'll see here this late tackle. Plays the ball and then the tackle, ooh, catches him on the back of the heel. That's a yellow, and that is bordering on something more than a yellow. Got to be very careful with those sort of tackles.
And if there's any good news for the player, and Rivera's taken a few shots in this game, it appeared it went south of the Achilles.
Yeah, just very, very close. But just saying, for Pittsburgh, they've got to do the opposite. They've got to just find a way to get through. Lump that ball into the box. Get all the big boys in. Challenge. You've got the age and the sort of strength advantage over Loudoun, who've got 5 or 6 players who are 20 or under.
Well, the end of the day for Mustafa, he'd just taken a lick and just picked up that yellow card. Segra substitution. Corner for Forbes. Or a free kick, rather. I mean, we've gotten at 10:34 p.m. I can promise you the plan was not to still be rolling here tonight with a scheduled 7 o'clock kickoff.
Well, if the fans can wait 100 minutes for the start of the match, they can wait another 9 to finish it off. What it does do, though, it means a lot more hard work for Loudoun and an opportunity for Pittsburgh to still get something from this match.
Ortho Virginia stoppage time. It is the 9 minutes.
You do worry for Loudoun, having lost 7 of 8, having conceded in the 95th minute against Hartford to lose all 3 points. You get the feeling that if this happens again, this will really demoralize the side.
Chested down in the penalty area. Options beginning to come together. The offside flag was up.
Well, that's the idea for Pittsburgh. Get it long, get it into the box, put pressure on.
There was a point in time early in this second half where every second ball was being taken by Pittsburgh.
That was at 10 minutes after halftime, and I think Bob Lilly wound up his team and got them really fighting and battling. And that's why I'm so impressed with Loudoun. And I have asked the question a few times in this match, can they be clinical when they need to? Can they fight when they need to? Well, they certainly have in this match. And I'm more than happy if they do keep the scoreline. I'm more than happy to take back my comments from earlier that they haven't been able to fight it through to the end. But they've still got 7 minutes to go.
Abukora taken back by the Riverhounds. They've won all 6 meetings against Loudoun all time. They have won their last 8 midweek games. This ball ahead, and perhaps this could be the dagger. And instead, Leaker comes out, denies Abukora.
Abukora got to be more clinical there. I know you're only 16, my son, but you've got to find a way past Leaker and kill the game. Another good opportunity that's gone for Loudoun. But again, to be fair, it's 16 years of age. Did well to even get in that position, even to be one-on-one with the keeper. But imagine if he could have just finished that off.
Free kick. Loudoun. Precious time will tick away here for Pittsburgh. Loudoun opened this season with 34 shots, up a man for 75 minutes at Miami. They were down 2-0 inside that span and still failed to come back despite all that pressure. There were moments in this season where it appeared like they were due a win, not at least a point. That Hartford game, obviously standing as tall as any. But a win over Pittsburgh, who have climbed up the standings, such a rapid ascent. It certainly changed the narrative right now. One that has seen Loudoun plummet to the bottom of the Atlantic Division.
Well, you think about it, Pittsburgh on the road, 4 straight wins. The last one was against Tampa Bay Rowdies away. What a fantastic win that was. Indy 11 away, of course, here at Loudoun previously, and New York Red Bulls too. But I mean, just the Tampa Bay victory alone shows you how good Pittsburgh have been on the road.
Bob Lilly described those as bonus points. Winning at Indy, winning at Tampa Bay under any circumstances. Remarkable.
What's he going to call this, losing against the team bottom of the table?
Well, he said that would be giving them back.
Yep. But again, credit Loudoun. They haven't been easy to play against, as they have been all season. They've given every single team they've played, bar the last match against Charleston, they've given every other team a real run for their money.
Long diagonal hit well. Rivera, handball.
It just skips off the turf for Rivera then, up against his arm. Couldn't get it out the way. Getting closer, Loudoun United, finally their 2nd win of the season. And this, if they keep this, will please Ryan Martin so much, because they've had to fight for this. They've had to be slightly more clinical in front of goals, getting shots on target. I still think they can do more, but they've still done reasonably well. They've got stuck in the tackles. We saw Paz get a knock on the head that eventually led him to being taken off the pitch by getting stuck into a 50-50. So real commitment from Loudoun United today, and they've got to be applauded for it.
And this is the first of a 3-game homestand for Loudoun too. That you have to say these 5 games define their season in some capacity. If they came away with nothing or 3 or fewer points, you'd have real concern. Home against Pittsburgh, home against Hartford, home against Miami, and then away to Pittsburgh and away to Tampa Bay. Brutal.
Wow, it is brutal. But They've shown that they can perform. Now they've got to keep it going. That's what all good teams have to do, consistency. And be clinical in the opposition half.
If they can somehow see this out, this would have to be their best performance out and out of the year, and probably the result will say only their second win, but hard done at times. This will get out over the line, and we are now 2/3 of the way through stoppage time.
You've got to give them credit for shutting down Conrado Forbes and Alex Dixon and Albert Dikwa when they came on. I certainly thought they would change the game. They haven't. And that's credit to Loudoun. Haven't given them the space to do anything. Russell Cicerone, who's been fantastic in previous matches, haven't seen hardly anything of him this evening. Now that could just be that the four of them have played badly, or more likely it could be that Loudoun have defended well.
Forbes rolls this out. Cicerone has been uncharacteristically quiet. His second game in a 4-game swing in a 12-day stretch. Pittsburgh rotating on the road, dealing with the lightning delay. This ball hammered in a way that doesn't challenge the goalkeeper in the least.
This hasn't been up front for Pittsburgh. Even that effort was a little bit wide. I think it was from Cicerone, but just off target, and they really haven't made Forder work enough. He's had 1 or 2 saves to make. I think the best one of all was that Dikwa overhead kick. World-class save there from Forder, but sounds crazy to say other than a world-class save, but other than that, he hasn't had that much to do.
Kilwine.
It looks like they're going to do it. Getting very, very close now, Loudoun.
Well, we've said that before.
We have, but this time, I get the sense they are going to do it. Maybe they're just maturing a bit. Maybe they're learning to be tough, clinical, all the things that make a good professional soccer player. And credit to Ryan Martin. It's been a tough, tough time. But maybe, just maybe, they're turning the corner.
Bouncing ball back, Bolivar. Gave chase 50 seconds. Maybe a hair more. Loudoun starting to get more of the ball here. Over Abukora, but stays in long enough to make that a bit more frustrating here for Jalen Robinson. Time of the essence now. This 5-game losing streak began with a loss to Pittsburgh for Loudoun, 3-2. Card's going to come out here for that challenge. More time will pile off. Cu Di Pietro, 3rd career goal. And perhaps it's his 3rd goal in as many wins for Loudoun over the last 3 seasons. He's only scored in wins. This would be just the 3rd of the past 2 years for Loudoun United. We've crossed 99 into the 100th minute now. And the header bouncing, turning, shot blocked from Dixon. And this is going to be it.
Good defending there from Loudoun. They won the first header, they won the second. They blocked the shot. Fantastic. And they're going to be just 2 points behind New York Red Bulls if they hold on to this with a game in hand. They could still make something of this season.
Corner, Pittsburgh. Header to the backside. And the first win in a month for Loudoun is a massive upset at home for Ryan Martin's men over Pittsburgh. Their first ever points against the Riverhounds. The end of a 5-game losing streak. And Bolivar and Cu Di Pietro scoring stunners. And a tremendous save by Jermaine Forda to help Loudoun over the line.
Yeah, you can see the celebration. You can see what it means to the players. And they deserve it. Absolutely brilliant. The manager, Ryan Martin, also letting out a gasp at the end there. Yeah, and they deserve it. Paz there took a few knocks. Bolivar with a fantastic goal. Cu Di Pietro, I thought, was brilliant throughout. And maybe this is the maturing of Loudoun United. The realization that you have to get wins however you can possibly. And to beat Pittsburgh, that is a fantastic win.
2-1 Loudoun over Pittsburgh, and you can see the respect from the Riverhounds as 2 great goals see their 3-match winning streak undone. And the question, is Loudoun bad or just unlucky coming into this match? Loudoun finally sees their luck turn just a bit. 2-1 Loudoun over Pittsburgh. We'll wrap this one up when we return after these messages.
In the heart of DC's wine country lies a retreat and conference center like no other, where award-winning chefs create signature dishes using local farms, where the wine is poured just miles from the vines and the beer is brewed right next door, where challenge courses invigorate and meeting rooms inspire, where the welcome starts at check-in and continues throughout your stay. Like Loudoun United, the National Conference Center builds world-class teams in the place we all call home. Saddle up.
This is business today. Fast, unpredictable, always changing. Shifting trends and technologies are pushing aside old rules. The unexpected is the new normal. At Segra, we'll help you navigate a complex future with state-of-the-art voice, internet, and data protection solutions. We know you have dreams, and we see your potential. Segra, freedom to grow.
Welcome back, everybody. Loudoun got the job done tonight. They remain in 8th in the Atlantic Division. Pittsburgh doesn't move either, but these 3 points have to feel like $1 million right now to this extraordinarily young Loudoun United side. Let's take a look at our save of the match. It's brought to you by Segra. It had to be Dequa with the opportunity to level this match, and what a phenomenal save by Jermaine Forda.
Yeah, brilliant save, brilliant overhead kick. You'll see it now. Comes in for Canado Forbes. Gets knocked up in the air. Dequa's got a bit of space. Perfect overhead kick. Just the fingertips of Jermaine Forda gets it round the post. And I'm sure Dequa thought, this is my best overhead kick of my life. It's going to be a goal for certain. And no, it's not. What a save.
His face just simply dropped. National Conference Center full-time highlights between Loudoun and Pittsburgh. Long-awaited chance for Loudoun to get home, try and get off a 5-game losing skid. Gray helping to tee this up, and Coup Di Pietro from distance.
A fantastic strike from Coup Di Pietro. Just a little bit surprised Jake Leaker doesn't dive for it, but maybe unsighted. What a great finish, though.
3rd career goal for the youngster, and you can see the celebration was on. It'd be short-lived, coming 3 minutes out of halftime. It's an error here from Loudoun that opens the door for Pittsburgh to get upfield in a hurry and score the equalizer.
Yeah, it's Mel who gets robbed of the ball by Velarde. Lots of space out wide for Luis Perez, and he sticks it past Jermaine Forda. Pounced on that, Pittsburgh. They came out of the locker room all fired up, and it showed straight away there. Luis Perez, good finish.
So 1-1, Pittsburgh looks like perhaps they'll get something on the road after all, but Loudoun would not be denied. This was scored from somewhere between D.C. and Maryland.
Bolivar, long way out, 20, 22, 3 yards out. What a strike past Jake Leaker. Doesn't get close to the ball. Turns, he's got a bit of space. Nobody closes him down, so he thumps it. One of the best strikes of his career.
And in the end, a 2-1 win in front of what was a lightning-induced, smaller crowd than anticipated. But you have to be pleased if you're Ryan Martin. This was long overdue.
Long overdue, and you can see the players just chatting to family and friends and just soaking up the atmosphere. And what they've done is they've set themselves a standard of fighting for the ball, a standard of clinical finishing, that if they keep that going, maybe, just maybe, they can still get into the top 4. They've got plenty of games still to come. Now we know they can do it. Now they just have to be consistent.
All right, well, it was 100 minutes or so, the opening delay. Players had taken the field, and all the theatrics stopped for a time. But boy, did we get some kind of show. Loudoun 2, Pittsburgh 1, with 2 tremendous goals, great saves along the way. For our entire Vista WorldLink crew, led by producer Dustin Curl, Gage Tillotson, Santiago Guzman, and Ivan Velasquez, Gary Bailey, Mike Watts saying so long from Leesburg.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.